There's something weird about old games. Not the big ones everybody remembers. I'm not talking about Mario, Halo, Call of Duty, nothing like that. I'm talking about those random games you found when you were younger. The ones buried on some sketchy website with broken menus, ugly graphics, and music that somehow still gets stuck in your head years later. Now imagine this. You remember playing one of those games. You remember the screen, you remember the music, you remember this one level that felt completely wrong. But years later, when you try to find it again, nothing. No gameplay, no download, no screenshots that actually prove anything, no official page, just a couple of people online saying the same thing. Bro, I remember this too. And that's where this case starts. Because this isn't just about some old game disappearing. It's about how something can exist online one day and then get buried so deep that eventually people start questioning if they ever saw it in the first place. Welcome to Punk's Boy Files. This is Case Files 001, the game that disappeared without a trace. What's good, everyone? This is Punk's Boy Files, and today we're opening up our first case. This one is about an old game people swear they remember playing, but somehow almost every trace of it is gone. And I'm gonna be real with you. This case is messy, the links are dead, the screenshots are low quality, people argue about the name. Some people remember one version, other people remember something completely different, but that's what makes it interesting, because real internet mysteries aren't always clean. Sometimes they're just broken links, old comments, half-remembered details, and people trying to prove something from their childhood actually existed. And this one feels exactly like that. Like digging through an old computer and finding a folder you don't remember making. The story started the same way a lot of internet mysteries start. Not with some big announcement, not with a developer coming out and explaining everything, not with a viral video, just a random post. Someone was asking if anybody remembered an old browser game from years ago. They said it looked simple, kind of cheap, like one of those games you'd play after school when you were bored and had nothing else to do. At first it didn't sound that crazy, just another forgotten online game, but then they mentioned one detail that made people stop scrolling. They said the game had a hidden level, and according to them, this level didn't match the rest of the game at all. The colors changed, the music stopped, the characters started moving weird, and the whole thing started feeling less like a kid's game and more like something somebody left inside of it on purpose. At first, people didn't really know what to do with it, but then replies started coming in. One person said they remembered it. Then another person said they remembered the music cutting out too. Then somebody else said they remembered the same weird level, but under a different name. And just like that, it wasn't just one person asking a random question anymore. It became a search. But almost right away, the search hit a wall. Because nobody could agree on what the game was called. Some people remembered one title, other people remembered a completely different one. Some said it was on a Flash game site. Others said you had to download it from an old forum. A few people swore it came from one of those websites that had hundreds of random games just thrown together with no real order. And that's where this whole thing gets frustrating. Because you can have a whole group of people remembering the same thing, but if nobody remembers the exact name, you're basically searching in the dark. People started digging through old websites, dead links, archive pages, comment sections, anything they could find. And they did find little pieces. Old comments talking about a strange version, broken links that looked like they might have led somewhere, people mentioning a creepy level. A few people even remember the soundtrack sounding off, like the loop was broken or unfinished, but none of it was enough. No clean download, no full gameplay, no clear developer name, just pieces. And the weird part is, those pieces made the story feel even stronger, because that's how old internet stuff usually looks when it's almost gone. No perfect proof, not some clean archive, just screenshots of screenshots, broken pages, and comments from accounts that haven't posted in 10 years. That's what made this feel like something the internet actually lost. Now here's the part that made me actually pay attention. The reason people believed this game existed wasn't even because of the creepy hidden levels. It was the boring details. And I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. When people try to make an internet story sound scary, they usually go straight to the most dramatic stuff. A cursed file, a character staring at the screen, some message popping up, all that extra stuff. But the people who remember this game weren't really talking like that. They remembered the loading screen taking forever. They remembered the controllers being bad. They remembered the music looping wrong. They remembered the game freezing at the same part. They remembered the menu looking ugly. And honestly, that feels way more believable. Because when you think back to an old game you played as a kid, you don't always remember the full thing. Sometimes you only remember the weird little stuff. The part that annoyed you, the part that scared you for no reason, the part where the sound glitched and you just sat there staring at the screen like, why does this feel wrong? That's what made this case spread. People weren't saying, I found the scariest game ever. They were saying, I remember this weird little game and there was one part that didn't feel right. And that's way creepier to me because it doesn't sound like a story trying too hard. It sounds like something that accidentally got left online. The hidden level is the center of this whole case. Most versions of the story describe it almost the same way. You play through the normal game, everything looks simple, low quality, nothing too special. And after doing something specific, the game loads into a different area. And that's where everything changes. The problem is nobody agrees on exactly how you got there. Some people said you had to click something on the main menu. Some said you had to wait on the title screen for too long. Some said you had to beat the game without losing. Other people said it only happened when the game crashed at the right moment. But when it happened, people described the same kind of feeling. The music disappeared, the colors got dark, the background looked empty, the characters stopped moving like the way they're supposed to. Some people said it felt unfinished, like a test area the developer forgot to remove. Other people said it felt too intentional, like the whole game was normal just to hide this one part inside it. And the strangest detail is this. A lot of people said the level didn't really end. The game would either freeze, crash, or send you back to the main menu like nothing happened. No message, no explanation, no credits, just silence. And that's the kind of thing that sticks with you. Because when a game explains itself, it stops being scary. But when it shows you something strange, then refuses to tell you why, your brain fills in the rest. So what actually happened here? There's a few theories. The first one is simple. People could be mixing up different games, and honestly, that happens a lot more than people think. You remember the menu from one game, the music from another game, and one creepy level from something completely different. Then years later, your brain puts it all together and turns it into one memory. That could explain why people remember similar details, but not the exact same title. The second theory is that the game was real, but it disappeared because the internet moved on. And that one makes a lot of sense. Old websites shut down, Flash died, forums get deleted, file hosting sites disappeared. Random games got removed because nobody thought they were important enough to save. So maybe this wasn't some big secret. Maybe it was just a small game that slipped through the cracks. The third theory is the one I keep coming back to. Maybe the hidden level was real, but only in one version of the game. Maybe there was an early build. Maybe the developer uploaded the wrong file. Maybe one website had an older version that got replaced later. Maybe some people played that version and everybody else played the cleaned up one. That would explain why some people remember it clearly while other people have no idea what they're talking about. And to me, that might be the most unsettling answer. Not because anything supernatural happened, because it means there might have been a real version of this game out there with something strange inside of it, and nobody saved it. But this case is bigger than just one missing game, because it shows how fragile the internet really is. We act like everything online lasts forever, but it doesn't. Websites shut down, videos get deleted, links die, old forums disappear, accounts get banned, files get removed, and sometimes nobody notices until years later. Then when people finally go looking, all that's left is memory. That's why lost media hits people so hard. You're not just looking for a file. You're trying to prove that something from your past actually existed. And when you can't prove it, it starts messing with you. Because you know what you saw, you know what you played, you know what you heard. But the internet is basically telling you it never happened. And that's a weird feeling. It's like something can disappear twice. First the file goes missing, then eventually, the memory starts feeling like the only proof left. So what's the verdict? Was this game real? Honestly, I think some version of it probably was. Do I think every single detail people remember is perfect? No. Memories change, stories get passed around, people fill in the blanks without even realizing it. That's just how the internet works. But I don't think this case is nothing. There are too many small details, too many similar memories, too many broken trails pointing in the same direction. So for now, this case stays open. A game that might have existed, a hidden level nobody can fully prove, a file that may have been sitting on some old websites for years before it disappeared, and a group of people still trying to find something the internet may have already buried. And honestly, that's the creepiest part. Not that the game was haunted, not that it was cursed, but that something can disappear so completely that even the people who remember it start questioning it themselves. So now, I want to ask you, do you remember a game like this? Something you played years ago that nobody talks about anymore? A weird website, a lost game, an old video file, anything that feels like it just vanished? Drop it in the comments, because sometimes that's the only way these things get found again. Enough people start talking, somebody remembers a name, somebody finds an old file, somebody checks an old computer, and suddenly a missing piece of the internet comes back. So if you're into dark internet mysteries, lost games, creepy online stories, and digital case files, subscribe to Punksploit Files. This is only Case File 001, and until somebody finds the real file, the real footage, or the real person behind it, this game stays missing.